Hi, my loves. Today we are going to be checking out culture shock in England, 10 things that shock Americans in England, USA versus England. But if you're new on the channel, please make sure you like, subscribe, and let's get right into today's reaction.
Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
And today we are going to tell you 10 things that were culture shock for us when we arrived here in England.
Oh, wow.
The first thing that shocked us when we were
That was really beautiful. I'm sorry. That feels like the most beautiful thing I've seen this year. No, I'm not gonna lie. That
arrived in England was just how many foreigners there are in London.
We always heard that London was multicultural, but just the extent of foreigners that were there was really shocking to us. And not in a bad way. It was just surprising because when we were coming to England, we're like, oh, there's probably gonna be a lot of English people and we'll be hearing lots of English. But when we were in public, about 90% of the languages we were hearing around us were foreign languages and not English.
Pretty much everywhere was represented in London, so that was really cool. And to just hear all of the different languages, because we feel like, I mean, Seattle's pretty multicultural as well, but not to the extent of London. Like,
yeah, actually, because I'm so sorry, because you know the Americans, they portray it as the land of the free. So going there, you actually have in mind you're going to see people from different races, different languages, but the UK, I will actually say the British is a quite preserved country. So hearing different, actually going there, you think you're going to be hearing purely English. Like going there, you're saying different languages, and you are like short to your core, like, whoa, I never expected this. I totally get that, and I'm just knowing this for the first time myself.
just all of the languages and everyone speaking different languages in like the restaurants. We'd be sitting at our table and each table was speaking a different language.
This happened every time we went
pretty much
basically.
every time. It'd be like the table of Koreans. We could always hear them because
Korea!
we understand a tiny bit of Korean, so we were like,
We lived in Korea for 2 years, for those of you who don't know.
The Koreans, French people, Eastern European people, just everywhere.
Wow.
Number two,
the subways are really small. It was actually shocking because our experience with subways is in Korea and Japan, and these subways are very wide. There's lots of standing room. They're also very tall, but the tube, as it's called in London, actually looks kind of like a tube. Yeah, it made sense.
It's like not tall, or at least the ones that we rode on were not tall like all the way across on the ceiling, but it's kind of like
a box
curved or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of like curved. Maybe not all of them are that way, but the ones that we rode on were that way, so that was interesting.
It was just surprising and shocking how small the tube was, at least the tubes that we rode.
Speaking of tubes, that brings us to number 3. I love how English people wait patiently for people who are on the tube to get off before getting on the tube themselves.
Wow.
That is something after living in Korea for a couple years, you'll know that is not the case. As soon as the subway doors open and the train stops, everyone in Korea is just like pushing everybody else and getting on the subway as fast as they can. So it was nice to go to a place where everyone just stands aside and waits for those people who are on the train to get off, which is what should happen.
This is actually...
over here, we wait for people to get off. In most cases, I won't actually say in all cases generally, I'll say in most cases, we wait for people to get off the bus or the train before, entering. In most cases, though.
So shocking that the very first time we rode the tube, when the doors opened and everyone was waiting for people to get off, Grace turned to me and made that observation. She's like, oh my gosh, they're waiting for people to get off. What is this?
Madness.
Number 4, this is just a really quick one, but light switches here are different than they are in the States, and whereas in the States and Korea and other countries, you flip on to turn the light switch on.
Flip up,
You flip up to turn it on, and flip down to turn it off.
Yeah.
Here,
opposite.
from what we've seen, you flip up to turn it off and flip down to turn it on.
Number 5.
You guys, I think there's a switch in the house that I actually worked like this. I was thinking probably the electrician, placed it upside down. But saying like is a kind of a European or a British kind of switch. This is like a news to me. I think I just learned something today. I've been thinking, okay, this switch was, misplaced, but knowing a switch can actually be placed that way, like it's formed that way, is a news to me. I have a European switch in the kitchen.
The other thing that we found surprising when we arrived in England was that power outlets have to be switched on to use them. So it has like a little switch next to it and you have to turn it on in order to use electronic appliances. So many times we've tried to boil like hot water for tea or coffee.
Or charge my phone.
And you forget to switch the power outlet on and it doesn't charge or the water doesn't boil and you're like, I kind of like that though, because as I heard someone say the other day, it prevents like children from sticking things into the sockets and getting electrocuted. So I like that idea.
And then also, like in America, when we go on vacation or something like that, you have to run around the house and unplug everything so it doesn't.
Exhausting.
It's not a fire hazard.
Or even like every night you try to like unplug it, you know?
Yeah. Here, you just turn the outlets off. So that's actually kind of cool. It was shocking, but it's kind of cool, and we'll probably try to do that on our own house one day.
Yeah, I like that.
Number 6, something else that has been a little shocking.
But regarding that, right, we actually do not necessarily plug out our switch, but when there's bad electricity, we normally, plug everything out. And I remember leaving the house when I still stayed with my parents. My mom always shouts, remove all the extensions, remove everything, because of bad electricity. So I think it's an electrical something, in my own opinion.
Shocking for us is that tipping here is a bit different than back in the States. Whereas in the States, when you go to a restaurant, any receipt that you get is going to have a tip line where you write the tip. Here at restaurants, they don't have that. And most cafes don't even have a tip jar. And so it's been really confusing for us to figure out what we do for tipping.
I've heard also that tipping is super minimal here. Like if at all, it's like just really minimal. So that's definitely different than America, where as a server, you're like 20% or you're a bad table. Sort of.
Yeah. Question though, for the English folk in the audience, when I'm at a restaurant and they give me a receipt that doesn't have a tip line or anything on it, what am I supposed to do? Do I tip? Or is that just like a no tip? Yeah, do you leave it on the table? Or is that just like we all agree that there's no tipping going on in this situation? Please let me know down in the comments so I don't make any social faux pas.
Number 7. Real quick, I was just going to mention that in grocery stores here in England, they generally have a much larger selection of cheese than they do back home in the States, which I'm not going to complain about. I love that.
It's amazing.
I think it's just a lot more in the culture here, I guess, than it is back home. Whereas back home, you usually only have like a couple different kinds of cheese to choose from, and
Cheddar,
not like
Gouda.
Yeah, not like mozzarella or Parmesan.
Mozzarella, yeah.
Not like specialty cheeses. Here you'll have like many different types and
wow, this is
different ages as well.
Number 8. This is one you hear a lot, probably, but we don't know which direction to look when we cross the road. And this is for a couple of reasons. 1, people here drive on the left side of the road, and so that's confusing. But 2, there are also a ton of one-way streets here, both in London and in the villages that we've been in and towns. Lots of one-way streets that aren't obvious one-way streets. And so when we cross, it is so confusing to know
which way to look.
And so
it's quite dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
You know, like, I am in fear of being struck by an automobile. That sounded ridiculous.
That was it. Yeah. We're working on our English accent.
That wasn't an English accent. That was just me.
Sounding like an English person.
I don't have an accent.
In London, though, there is a nice, I think it's so polite and courteous how they put on the ground, like, look this way.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Before crossing the street, there's like paint on the sidewalk that says, look left, or look right, or look both ways. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh.
That was really good.
These English folk have our back.
They know we're stupid.
Number 9. This is more of a question, but it was also a very big culture shock. Why are there 2 separate spigots for hot and cold water? This, like, somebody please explain. I don't understand this. Like, do you want to wash your hands in freezing cold water and not kill any of the germs? I don't know if that's correct, but whatever, that's what I think. Or do you want to scald yourself so that you can't even feel and then you have to be fed by your husband for the next few days? Like, choose.
It is very confusing, and this is not just something we've seen in homes, but we've seen it in museums and churches.
Well, especially, I would say, I think Nigeria adapt most of their things from the British, because even from the water heater, the faucet, we have the part for hot and cold, but the differences between them, on the cold side, you're gonna see a blue patch on it, on the tip of the tap. While for the hot part, you're going to see a red. So to differentiate the temperature of the water, actually, it's actually a thing here, so I can say.
Churches, in cafes, and
It's
restaurants.
like everywhere in the restroom.
Yeah.
It's two separate.
Two separate spigots, and you get scalding hot water or you get
Ice.
freezing cold water.
And so, like, what I was doing, I know this
You
is
just stand up and
ridiculous,
go,
but yeah,
throw
I was
them
just like
together.
throwing them together and like. Somebody explain, because somebody's got an explanation for why
there's a
this is
reason.
better, I'm sure.
Explain it to us.
It's not.
Number 10, it was shocking to us how much people jaywalk here. We had been warned by friends that, hey, just so you know, in London, it's okay to jaywalk. But when we came here, it was just surprising to see how frequently everyone jaywalks. Literally everyone jaywalks all the time. Yeah, it's constant jaywalking. And we're coming from Seattle, which is, I think, in the United States, we are famous for being a city that no one jaywalks in. So it was really shocking to come to England and no one, it's just like
Constant jaywalking.
jaywalking. Look, look, run. Look, look, run.
Which makes you feel extremely stressed out as foreigners because we don't know which way to look. So we're like, oh, we can't just wait for this light, which is gonna last forever.
Jaywalking is a thing here, like, to be honest. Like, we actually, the zebra crossing, I think the jaywalk is a zebra crossing. It's actually a thing. You look left and right, you cross the road. Even with the pedestrians, some people even cross the highway, which is very risky. I know the government are doing a lot of things to curb that, but people being people, breaking the laws, it's actually a thing.
Forever, we
Yeah.
should jaywalk, but then we don't know which direction the cars are coming from, so if we jaywalk, we might die. So it's kind of like.
And then you know who the foreigners are because they're the ones
They're
that
the
are
dead
waiting
ones.
for the light.
Wow.
That. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you've ever visited England, do drop a comment down below and let us know what culture shocks shocked you. I'd love to hear what your experience visiting this country was like. And if you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button so that YouTube shows this to more people.
And subscribe down below so that you can get more travel in your life.
Hitting the subscribe button will make sure that our travel videos and more videos about England, culture shock, budget travel will show up in your subscription feed. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Is that it? Are we done?
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers!
We certainly learn every day. You guys, this was actually very informative, and most of the things there weren't like a actual shock to me, because I feel like Nigeria as a country adapt most of their things. Obviously, we were colonized by the British, so most of the things were actually similar. It's something we do here, like the ticket, jaywalking. We look left and right, and then off we go. It's actually risky, but it's something we do here, and nobody is being arrested for that. The only risk is for you not, being knocked down by a car in that regard. But most of the things, there were a really huge significant similarity with our lifestyle over here. And I going to the England, I don't think I will have much of a cultural shock, because as earlier said, we are colonized by the British, and most of the things we adapt from them and learn from them. Let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share this video to people you think will find this interesting. Like this video. I'll see you guys on my next one. Bye, loves.